Hi, it's Lori with a Moneymaker Mindset, and I grew up in a household where money was tight. Like, I remember my mom having to go to the food bank, or if our car broke down, we were walking. I actually remember one time when my high school chem teacher actually helped us push our car out of an intersection because it had broken down. Even though I'm in a different place now financially, growing up that way, it left a mark. I'm now a certified financial planner with an MBA in financial psychology. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about how these early money experiences shape us. Some habits I picked up have helped me, others not so much. Let me share 4 of them with you. One of the best habits I've picked up from growing up with very little money was meal planning. Even in my early 20s, when I had just moved out and was on my own, I was flipping through flyers every week, making lists and planning meals based entirely on what was on sale. It wasn't about what I felt like eating. It was more about what I could afford to eat. I still remember walking into Superstore with my little calculator, adding things up as I went because I couldn't afford to go over. And honestly, I still kind of do that in my head. Old habits die hard. I also became the queen of substitutions. If a recipe called for something I didn't have, like heavy cream or buttermilk, I wasn't about to make a special trip. I learned what I could use instead. Milk with a little butter, boom, you got cream. Lemon juice and milk, instant buttermilk. I probably couldn't even tell you the last time I followed a recipe exactly. In fact, every time my partner says, "Hey, can you make that meal again?" I laugh, because I probably can't. That habit taught me to be flexible, creative, and resourceful in the kitchen. It also taught me not to waste food. I would use everything, even if it meant some weird combinations. Leftovers were always reinvented, never thrown out. Looking back, this habit came from necessity, but I'm genuinely grateful for it. It's one of the few money habits I use every single week. Even now, with more breathing room in my budget, I still plan out meals, shop with intention, and look for deals. Not because I have to anymore, but because it just makes sense. It saves money, reduces food waste, and just keeps the week running smoothly. And honestly, I think more people would benefit from learning this skill. It's not about deprivation. It's about being thoughtful with your money and your meals. Now here's a tough one. I'm terrified of being poor again. And I don't say that lightly. It's a fear that lives deep in my body. Growing up, I watched my parents be constantly stressed about money. There was never enough. Bills were juggled, plans were put off, and I always felt that tension, even as a kid. That kind of financial stress just doesn't go away, even when your circumstances change. But the moment that really shaped me wasn't in childhood. It happened when I was 18. I was sitting outside the grocery store with my new baby in the back seat. We were both crying, and I had cash in my wallet, but not quite enough. Not enough for food and diapers and formula. I remember holding those bills in my hand, doing the math in my head, and trying to figure out what we could go without. I didn't have a credit card, no overdraft protection, just the cash I had and the weight of a choice no one should ever have to make. In that moment, I promised myself, never again. I would do whatever it took to never be in that position again. That day flipped a switch for me. From then on, I became hyper controlling of my money. I tracked every dollar. I obsessed over bills and budgets. I carried that fear into adulthood and into my marriage. Not because I loved budgeting, but because the thought of not having enough again made my chest tighten. It's taken me a long time to realize that some of my money habits were caused by trauma, not logic. Like buying a $7 coffee with a friend used to send me into an internal debate. Do I really need this? What if something comes up next week? What if I can't make my mortgage payment? Logically, I knew we were fine, but emotionally, I didn't feel safe. This habit, this fear, is still a work in progress. But with time and education and a lot of unlearning, I'm starting to loosen that grip a bit. I've learned that spending doesn't have to mean spiraling, that I'm allowed to enjoy my life a little and still be financially secure. And that financial stability isn't just about numbers. It's about feeling safe enough to trust myself with money. Now, this one's a bit sneaky because it doesn't look like a bad habit at first. But growing up without financial stability taught me to hoard just in case. If you open my pantry or freezer, it's always full. Always. Not because I'm planning for anything in particular, but because somewhere in the back of my mind is this voice that says, what if you run out? What if you can't afford groceries next week? What if something happens? And again, this mindset came from a real place. When I was growing up, if something was on sale, you bought extra just in case. Not because you needed it today, but because you might not be able to afford it tomorrow. Running out of basics wasn't just inconvenient, it was scary. It meant doing without. So now, even with a steady income and a full fridge, I still feel the pull to stock up, to buy the big pack, to get 3 instead of 1. Even though logically I know we're fine, even if I know half of it might go stale before we use it all. It's that old fear of scarcity whispering, just in case. It shows up in other ways too. Holding on to clothes I haven't worn in years. Hanging on to half-used bottles of shampoo. Struggling to throw things out just because I might need it later. But here's the thing I've had to learn. And I'm still learning. I'm not in survival mode anymore. I don't need to shop like the world's about to end. I can trust that future me will have what she needs, just like she does today. Letting go of that scarcity mindset has been hard because it did serve me at one point, but now it just takes up space in my pantry, in my closets, in my mind. So I'm working on buying just what I need. I'm practicing letting the shelves get low before I restock. I'm reminding myself that it's safe to have enough, not more than enough. And the funny thing is, the less I hoard, the more peaceful my home feels. It's like my environment finally reflects the security I've worked so hard to build. This habit didn't come easily, but it's one of the most powerful shifts I've made. Learning to truly appreciate what I have. Growing up without much, I used to look at what other people had. Nicer clothes, vacations, big houses, and I'd feel a deep longing. I didn't have the language for it when I was a kid, but it was a mix of envy, shame, and just wanting to feel normal, wanting to not always be the one without. Even as an adult, when I had more financial security, that mindset stuck around. I'd see friends upgrade their houses or go on trips, and even though I was doing okay, I'd catch myself comparing. Should I be doing more? Am I falling behind? But something shifted over time, and honestly, it wasn't because I earned more money. It's because I started to do the internal work. As I got deeper into financial psychology, I started to realize that contentment isn't about having more. It's about recognizing enough. Now I can look at my car, which isn't much, but it gets me around, and feel deeply grateful. I can open my fridge and see leftovers and think, what a gift. I can sit in my living room with my family and feel grounded, not lacking. That gratitude has been one of the biggest antidotes to impulse spending too. When you're constantly chasing the next thing, the next upgrade, the next fix, it's easy to spend money to fill the void. But when you actually feel content with what you have, that urge quiets down. I'm not saying I never want more or that I don't treat myself. I do, but I no longer need more to feel okay. And that shift from scarcity to gratitude has brought more peace than any purchase ever could. So if you're someone who grew up always wanting, always watching what others had, just know it's possible to step out of that, to feel thankful for what you've built, to look around your life and realize this is enough. And that's more powerful than anything money can buy. So those are 4 money habits I picked up because I grew up poor. Some of them served me, some of them I've had to unlearn, but all of them came from a place of survival, of doing the best I could with what I had. And here's the thing I want you to know. If you see yourself in any of these, you're not broken. You're not bad with money. You're just carrying lessons from a different chapter of your life. When you grow up around scarcity, your nervous system gets wired for it. You learn to plan, hustle, to be resourceful, but also to fear, to hoard, to tighten your grip. And unless we pause and reflect, those habits can quietly follow us into adulthood, even when we built a more stable life. As a certified financial planner with an MBA in financial psychology, I've seen this pattern in so many people, not just clients, but peers, friends, other professionals. And what I've learned is that financial wellness isn't just about the numbers. It's about safety, trust, and healing. So I hope this video makes you feel less alone. Maybe it even encourages you to look at your own money habits with curiosity, not shame. Ask yourself, is this still serving me? And if it's not, know that change is possible, one small shift at a time. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd hit like and subscribe, or left a comment down below about your own money habits, the good, the bad, or the ones you're just figuring out. And remember, your relationship with money doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest.